Good morning, Hearn Elementary, and happy Earth Day. Alright, I am super excited to get to celebrate with you guys today. I'm going to make this video a lot shorter than my last video, I promise. So I'm actually going to only talk about one person today. Okay, so I was going to talk about a couple of people, but I'm going to narrow it down to one person that I really admire and that actually has a documentary coming out on Disney Plus. And I think PBS is also going to air it, and PBS is a public broadcast station. It is free. All right, so it should be being aired today, in celebration of the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. All right, so first I'm going to talk about some news. There's honestly not a lot of news today. There's just, it's mostly the same stuff that's been going on with yesterday, and the day before, so I don't have too much to share with you guys. I will say, based on the press conference yesterday, it's basically, sticking to the same course. Greg Abbott says that our testing capabilities will go up. In fact, he has sent 1,200 state, our National Guard. So the National Guard is a military-style force that governors can call on to deal with internal issues. So usually they get called either in cases of disasters or if they think that there's going to be danger to somebody like rioting or looting. They have been called in the past for things that aren't so great to break up protests. But what he is using them for right now is he's going to use them to staff testing centers that are going to be sent throughout the state. So he hopes to, raise the number of people that we can test every day for COVID so that we can know who has it, who doesn't, and that will help us get back on track to open back up. All right. HEB will expand their hours. So they were going from 8 to 8. They're going to open and go from 7 to 10. So they're going to be open a little bit later and they're going to be open a little bit earlier. Okay, so if you need to go, before or after work, or maybe if you have a late night emergency, you can go to HEB. They will be open 7 a.m. to 10. And that's really it for the news today, guys. There's not a lot other than Earth Day. I mean, that's the biggest thing that's going on right now. So let's talk about that. I wanted to, on this 50th anniversary, talk about some of the ways the Earth has gotten better, some of the ways that we still need to grow a little bit. So just like you guys do in your other classes, we're going to do some glows, some things are doing great. We're going to do some grows, things that we need to work on or things that have popped up in the 50 years since we have the first Earth Day that now need to be addressed so that in 2070, which is 50 years from today, we can have a beautiful, thriving, wonderful world. Okay, so some of the great things we did. We have twice as many people in the world, and we are not all, starving. That was a super big deal, because back in 1970, we had 3.4 billion people in the world. Today, we have over 7 billion people, which means we have twice as many people. And remember, yesterday or the day before when I talked about how on the first Earth Day, 1 out of 4 people were hungry and facing starvation. And now it's down to 1 out of 9. So we've added twice as many people and much less of us are starving, which is fantastic. It's still sad that any of us are starving, but the fact that we're getting towards making sure that, nobody in the world goes hungry when we have food for them is fantastic. The idea, that we have crops that can, produce more because they've been genetically modified. We have assistance programs, like countries are learning new ways to farm and new ways to deal with pests and new ways to, distribute all the food and save it. A big thing with food waste back in the 1970s was a lot of countries didn't have electricity, so a lot of countries didn't have fridges. So a lot of their food went bad within a couple of days, and now electricity is much more widespread, and so we can save food for a lot longer, so we don't have to throw out as much. So, much more food is making it to the people that need it. All right. Rivers are no longer filthy or on fire. Way to go us. We don't have burning rivers. Love that. Our U.S. air is so much cleaner. Cities, you can actually see the sky. It's not just one big gray cloud of smog. Acid rain doesn't happen anymore. So you guys are probably like, what? Acid rain used to be a thing that happened in places where it's really, really polluted. The rain would fall down, and we know rain's just water droplets, but on the way down, it would get all of the chemicals and stuff in the air inside the rain. And then when the rain fell on people, it would cause them to break out and they could get sick because it had so many like dangerous chemicals in it. That's not a thing that happens in the US anymore. That's amazing. Can you even imagine living in a world where the rain could burn you because the sky is so polluted? I mean, that's a terrible world, and luckily, we don't live in that world anymore. I mean, we have other things that we need to work on, but like, hey, acid rain and rivers of fire, getting rid of that. All right. Renewable energy is now big business. Okay, so renewable energy is something, that people are excited about and investing in, and it's making money and it's great. Everybody really wants to be a part of it. Like Texas has really joined, the good, green energy curve. Of course, we're still, one of the biggest oil producers in the United States, so we kind of have, our pros and cons, but green energy is something that people are excited about and actually using. It's not just something that is on the fringes of society. It's something that, major companies and businesses and politicians and, even schools and, all sorts of things are using all the time. I mean, we have electric cars. It's amazing. All right. The ozone hole is healing. So I don't know if you guys knew this, but there's this thing called ozone that surrounds the earth, and it's part of the things that protects us from harmful sun rays. So the sun is sending out all sorts of rays, like UV and heat and ultraviolet and all sorts of things. And some of those are really dangerous to us. So the ozone actually blocks a lot of that UV, just like Earth's sunscreen. So it's just like sunscreen for the earth. And when you don't wear sunscreen, you get burned. That's because all the UV rays are getting in your body and like burning it and causing, damage. So the ozone is the Earth's sunscreen, and we had a hole in our sunscreen because of all the dangerous chemicals we were pumping into the air. But we've stopped doing as much of that. And now the ozone hole is actually repairing itself. So it's getting smaller and smaller. That's fantastic. All right. And nature preserves are popping up everywhere. Most countries in the world now have nature preserves. They've realized that, our natural animal, our wildlife and plant populations are important and beautiful and necessary for our ecosystem and our just lives. And even if they aren't necessary, things don't have to be necessary to be important. Nobody really needs another flower, but like if all the flowers were gone, wouldn't you be sad? And so those things, like they've realized that it's better to sacrifice a little bit of farmland and work productivity because to preserve something so beautiful and natural and essential for all of us. Plants and animals live there, like that's somebody's home. You can't just tear down somebody's home without telling them about it. Then they'll have nowhere to live and they'll be sad and they'll die. But which is great, which means some of the endangered species that we were worried about, especially, even the American bald eagle, symbol of America, was endangered for a long, long time and almost extinct because we kept destroying its habitat and the air was so polluted. We have, turned that around, and now bald eagles are good, and the same thing has happened to the bison and a lot of other animals. Of course, other animals have popped onto the endangered list, and that's what we're going to talk about now. So all of our glows, great job. Good for us. Now to talk about some things that we could do a little bit better. Okay, so we're not polluting our water as much, but we are definitely warming the ocean and it's getting more acidic. Okay, so that's having to do with climate change. And as the ocean gets warmer and more acidic, fish and plant life under the ocean can actually die. I don't know if you guys have heard about coral reef bleaching, but coral reefs are actually living organisms. I know they look like rock, but they actually are alive. And those living organisms, like the Great Barrier Reef, that my third graders learned about in Australia, as the coral, if it gets too hot or the water gets too acidic, it'll actually die and it turns like white. And, the plants and animals that rely on those coral reefs can't survive anymore. So we want to make sure that, we are, taking all of the precautions to stop global warming and make sure we roll back that so that our oceans, which trap a lot of energy and CO2 like carbon, aren't getting too full and getting too hot for all of the, amazing plants and animals that live there. All right. we are still mostly relying on non-renewables. So it's amazing that we're using renewable resources like solar and wind, but unfortunately, we're also still using a lot of oil. All right, so those kinds of things can be, harmful and cause, pollution, and also they're gonna run out. So we use plastics, oil to make plastics, and gas for our cars, and all sorts of crazy things. But all of the things we do with that leave, like pollution and residents and, residue that's awful. And also, it costs money and it's going to run out eventually. So, we are doing a little bit of green energy, but it'd be great if we could pop all the way over to green energy. Some countries in Europe are doing that. I know. I believe it is Denmark. I'm gonna have to check on that. Actually produced enough wind energy for their entire country. They just gave the entire country energy from all of the wind energy they produced, and they had so much they had to give it to other people. And there's also a country, which I'm not sure of, and I will figure out and put in the links, where their recycling and trash reduction program was so efficient that they actually ran out of trash. And to keep their trash facilities working, they had to bring in trash from other people's countries so that they could, recycle and take care of that trash so that they didn't have to fire all of their garbage men. So it's amazing that we can be so good at things that we can actually run out of trash. Fantastic. Natural environments, unfortunately, are vanishing at like extremely high rates, either due from climate change or deforestation, or forest fires are a big thing. And all of that deforestation means that all of these wonderful animals, like orangutans, are running out of places to live. And when they run out of places to live, unfortunately, they can't live. So it's really important that we preserve all of those natural ecosystems as much as we can. All right. And as many as 1 million plant and animal species could face extinction in the decades ahead. Okay, most of that is due to the loss of habitat. Some of that is due to actually, hunting is not as much, but like that's still a problem that we face, like poaching and hunting. So making sure that we can tackle those things and make sure that everybody gets a fair chance at the world, not just people, that we're not hogging the earth, that we're sharing it with everybody who lives here. Even, from the smallest ant to the biggest whale. They all deserve a place to live, and we need to, be better at sharing and, being respectful of who they are and where they live. All right. There has also been a lot of political rollback on these green energy decisions. So I'm going to talk about that right now. Okay, back. Sorry about that. Had to deal with something real quick. All right. So one other place we could grow is there has been a bigger political divide over the idea of environmentalism and saving our environments and doing using green energy and all of that. Back when Earth Day first started, I talked about the Clean Air and the Clean Water Act and starting the EPA. All of that was bipartisan, which means Republicans and Democrats both supported it. All right. So since then, unfortunately, there has been a growing divide in both sides over who supports, environmentalism and green energy and climate change and all of that, and who doesn't. So as of right now, about 75% of Democrats say that climate change is their biggest issue. Only 25% of Republicans say that. And we have seen a lot of ecological rollbacks on environmental protection in the last 4 years under the new presidency. So things like the EPA has been rolled back a lot. National land has been taken from national parks. We have cases like the Standing Rock case where, more money is being poured into energies like oil and coal and things like that. And, the U.S. stepped out of some big landmark protection agreements like the Paris Agreement, which was just an agreement by a lot of countries to reduce our harmful emissions and to, start using less energy. So unfortunately, the idea of, supporting the world has become something that's a bit of a divide in our country. It would be great. So that's one way we can grow, is the idea that supporting your world and supporting your environment doesn't need to be something that we argue about. It has benefits for everybody. And, one of those things of like, standing up. This is a good way for you guys to practice, being using your civil liberties. So we talked about how, as citizens, that you have the right to, vote for who you want and their policies. So, if you want to, you really care about climate change, and you like research the people that are running for office, even in your local election, things like mayors and governors and city council members and, all sorts of things. And see, like who supports things that I support, who doesn't support things that I support. And, you can encourage, the adults in your life to vote. And then soon, you guys will be able to vote and you can vote for those people. But kids can do all sorts of things. Like there are a lot of kid-led protests right now. The most famous, kid protester right now is Greta Thunberg, but there are a lot of really smart, amazing kids out there who are doing a lot, who are cleaning up trash and leading protests for climate change and saving environments and saving species. Just because you can't vote right now doesn't mean you can't make a difference in policy, and that you can't, tell your leaders what you want them to do. Because remember, the idea is that you are in charge, okay? It seems like, you're like, well, they're the, governor's the person in charge, right? The idea in America, the idea with democracy is a government for the people, by the people. Remember, we, read the first words of the Constitution and we listened to that song. We the people. All right, so you guys make the decisions. The citizens tell the people that they've elected what they would like, and those people, vote based on how the people, what they think their people would like. And then if somebody's not voting the way you like, then you don't vote for them next time. Okay, you vote for somebody else, and that's how we keep a check on all of our elected officials. Okay, so if you like what they're doing and you agree with them, you vote for them again. If you don't like what they're doing, you vote for somebody else. All right, and that's how we can, keep a check on our government officials. So those are some of the ways that we can grow. But I believe in us. Who would ever thought that we could have made so many changes to all of those other things? So things like smog and clean air and clean water and pollution. Those were a little bit easier, I want to say, problems to fix, because some of the solutions came from things like better technology and stuff like that. And now we're getting to the part where we have new challenges that maybe technology wouldn't fix, or even technology might be the problem. So they're going to be harder to fix, but I think that we are up to the challenge. I think that all of us, I know all of you guys, and you are amazing, bright, caring individuals. I know when I asked and this, I knew you guys were going to be an amazing class when I asked at the beginning of the year. You guys remember I told you to write on the back of your name cards a problem you wanted to solve. And so many of my students said things like, I want to, save the animals, or I want to, pick up trash, or I want to stop pollution, or I want to do things. You guys are really great and caring individuals, and I can see that you really are like invested in this. So I have all the faith in the world that you guys are going to be our future, and you're going to save the world someday. All right. A good way to do that is by participating in all of these Earth Day activities. So remember, yesterday your assignment was to find an Earth Day activity that you were interested in, and begin your notes so that you could participate in it today. And when you participate in it today, you're going to finish filling in the notes. So like all of the facts and quotes and additional information, those portions. Potentially the why portion, you're going to fill that in today as well. So make sure you get on top of that and don't miss your thing, because some of your things might have been at like 10 o'clock. So make sure you know what time it is and that you can participate. And if you missed the one you wanted to do, there are plenty others all over the world, so you can find one that's just starting, or you can find one that's going to start, in a little bit, and you can do that as well. Okay. I'm already about to 18 minutes. Real quick, I'm going to talk about somebody, but I'm going to make this really quick. Look, see, I only have 1 page of notes, so we're good. I'm going to talk about Jane Goodall real quick, who is one of my favorite conservationists, and, I've read a lot of her books, and I've been, following her career for a while. Obviously, her career's been going on longer than I have, but, ever since I, heard about her, I've been following her career, and, she is a really important figure in, primatology. So primatology, remember, ology or ologist means to study. Okay, so somebody who studies primates, and primates are apes. It's so primates are monkeys, apes, and humans. Okay, so we're all descended from a common ancestor. So we're all primates, and so monkeys, apes, and humans. So people that study those. Usually when we talk about primatologists, we're usually talking about people that study apes and monkeys. We reserve a separate word for people that study humans called anthropology, because anthro means human. So people who study humans are anthropologists. All right. But she is both an anthropologist and a primatologist because she does a lot of crossover work. And she has been doing 60 years worth of chimpanzee family studies in Tanzania, which is a country in Africa. Okay. She went out there in the 60s, and she has been living there with the same family group of chimpanzees and studying their family dynamics, and she's discovered all sorts of amazing things. She's studied that chimpanzees, they laugh and they cry and they have families and they show affection. They give hugs and kisses and, pats on the back. They also, have grudges and fights and enemies and all sorts of amazing things. They use tools. She's one, the first people to really document tool usage among, chimpanzees and apes. That shows, maybe like humans aren't just the only ones that use tools. Other creatures use tools too. So she's done a lot of amazing work. And lately her work has been about preserving habitats and making sure that chimpanzees aren't exploited. So you guys are a little young to have been like around during, some of the biggest parts of this. But even, as recent as 10 years ago or so, there was a lot of testing that was done on animals. There still is, some. We try not to do as much of the ethical things. So we used to test a lot of drugs and makeups on animals to see like what side effects it caused. And then unfortunately, if it caused a bad side effect, that poor, whatever it was, a chimp or a dog or, mouse, whatever it was, unfortunately I had to suffer those consequences. So a lot of places have banned that. You can't do that anymore. We also used to do things like they would keep chimpanzees for uses like the space program. They used to send chimps into space. Ham actually was the first American chimp into space. The Russians sent a dog called Leica. We sent a chimp because we wanted him to be able to, fiddle with stuff. He didn't actually push like a lot of buttons. They trained him to push like one button. That's it, because he's a chimpanzee. But and there's zoos and all sorts of places. There's still some chimpanzees being treated pretty awfully. But Jane Goodall goes around, and she is actually she serves on the board of the Non-Human Rights Project that works to make sure that all animals are treated fairly and equally, and that we're not taking advantage of them. And then she founded the Jane Goodall Institute and the Roots and Shoots program. So the Jane Goodall Institute is actually located in the Gombe National Park in Tanzania, where she's been studying her family of chimps, and it's a beautiful research facility for studying, and then you can go visit just to see what natural habitats are like, and to learn more about chimpanzees and who are our closest relatives on this planet. So there's humans, and chimpanzees are our closest relative, and other apes after them. But they are like our brothers and sisters on this planet, and you can learn a whole bunch about human behavior by observing them, and seeing what makes us different, what makes us the same, what makes all of us special. So she's really great. She's also been awarded, she is a UN Messenger of Peace. So she has been given this ability or this recognition by the UN of the idea that, she goes around spreading a message of peace and acceptance and understanding and cooperation with local peoples and, animals. And she is also an honorary member of the World Future Council, which is a council that works to figure out, how would be the best way for humanity to move forward. What are some ways that we can, conserve our resources? What are some ways that we can, live in better harmony with nature? What are some ways we can make sure everybody gets fed? What are some new technologies or some new, city planning, stuff? But it's just, a council that just says, like, what could the future look like? And let's make that a real possibility. Okay? So that is Jane Goodall. I mean, obviously, there's a whole bunch more about her. She's had a 60-year career already. But there is, like I said, at the beginning of the video, there is a new documentary out about her today on Earth Day. There are also other great documentaries on Disney Plus. Like there's one about elephants narrated by Meghan Markle. And there is one about whales and sea life, I believe. And then there's also, other things like Planet Earth is one of my favorite things to watch. And Disney Nature always has, wonderful videos. So check them out. So remember, your activity for the day is you are going to participate in your Earth Day event and, take notes for the rest of your pyramid, and you're going to report back to me on how the event went and what you thought and what you learned. And then we're going to work on setting it up so that you can actually write, a little news story about it. Just like all those kid reporters you guys have been seeing on all of these other websites, okay? So I'm actually going to sign off because I have got, an Earth Day activity to get to myself, and I don't want to miss it. Your thing for the day is, I already asked you a question about Jane Goodall, so I can't ask you another question. Oh, what should I ask you? Oh, tomorrow is Miss Davis's birthday. So, if you can tell me when my birthday is, that will be your question for the day, and then don't forget to participate in your online activity. Okay? I can't wait to hear back from you guys. I'm sure you're going to participate in so many wonderful, amazing activities, and I'm excited to see and hear all about them. All right. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.